All right, today in our Odysseyware program, we are going to be doing English language arts. And our lesson is fun with language. Authors play with words like children, finger paint, having fun while creating a special picture for the reader. In this lesson, we will look at some of the creative ways that authors use language. First, we have alliteration, the repetition of the same sound at the beginning of two or more words in sequence. The terrible tiger tore the towel. Alliteration. The next word we have is palindrome. This is a word, verse, or sentence that reads the same backward as forward. Dogma, I am God. Dogma, I am God. Palindrome, a word or phrase or a sentence that reads the same backward as forward. Examples would be mom. Taco cat is a popular palindrome. The next vocabulary word is riddle. A confusing statement or puzzling question with a hidden meaning to be solved. You have heard lots of different puzzles and riddles. What did one potato chip say to the other? Shall we go for a dip? The next vocabulary word is a tongue twister. A tongue twister is a word or sentence that is hard to say because it has similar consonant sounds. You may have heard of Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Did Peter Piper pick a peck of pickled peppers? It's a tongue twister. She sells seashells by the seashore. That actually also falls into an alliteration, too. Our next vocabulary word is word choice. Word choice, an author's use of specific and accurate words to show the reader what is happening instead of telling the reader what is happening. Word choice. Alliteration, repeating the same sound at the beginning of more than one word is called an alliteration. A palindrome is a word or phrase that reads the same backward as forward, such as race car and never, odd, or even. Riddle, what has a head, a foot, and four legs, a bed. Riddles is like a word puzzle for you to solve. Tongue twister is hard to say because of repeating consonant sounds. And word choice is the author's word choice can make the writing vivid and interesting for the reader. These are our vocabulary words. So for question number one, you are going to match your vocabulary words with the definition. So for number one, in question number one, it says a word or sentence that is hard to say because it has similar consonant sounds. A word or phrase that is hard to say because it has similar consonant sounds, whichever one you believe is number one, you're going to put number one over in the box that goes with the vocabulary words. Alliteration and tongue twisters. Think about your favorite story or poem. Does it include language that is fun to read? We are going to look at some different ways that authors and readers get to play around with language. You're going to get to watch a video. Tongue twisters are similar to alliteration, but they include repetition of vowel sounds too. They are also much harder to say. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? The tongue twister includes words that start with the same sound, alliteration, but it also includes words that have the same vowel and ending sounds. She sells seashells down by the seashore. This phrase includes alliteration of the sounds. She, shells, and shore. The alliteration of the rhymes combine to make it a true tongue twister. We learned that alliteration is not always used for fun, but tongue twisters are almost always short, silly phrases, sentences, or poems that stand on their own. Tongue twisters are usually hard to say, which makes them even sillier. We have some examples. So we have examples of alliterations and tongue twisters in your lesson today. The tutor. A tutor who tooted the flute tried to teach two young tutors to toot. Said the two to the tutor, "It is harder to toot or to tutor to tutors to toot." The butter Betty bought. Betty bought some butter. "But," she said, "this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit o' better butter will but make a batter better." Then she bought a bit o' butter, better than the bitter butter made her bitter batter better. So 'twas better Betty bought a bit o' better butter. Question 2. Aunt Annie's alligators is an example of a synonym, alliteration, a riddle, a palindrome. The next section, context clues. Context clues. When you are reading text and come across an unfamiliar word, what do? You can look up the word in a dictionary, but you can also try to figure out the meaning of a new word using context clues. Context clues can help you determine the meaning of an unfamiliar word when you are reading. Context clues may be located in the same sentence or paragraph as a new word. Example, there may be an example of the word in the sentence or surrounding sentences. A melody, like the tune from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, can get stuck in your head for hours. The tune from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is an example of a melody. Explanation or definition. There may be a definition or example provided in the sentence. A monsoon or desert thunderstorm can be a scary experience. Synonym. There may be a synonym for the word in the sentence or surrounding sentences. There may be theories or ideas about why the sea level is rising. Ideas is a synonym for theories. Antonym. There may be an antonym or opposite in the sentence or surrounding sentences. She was so irate she didn't feel like she would ever calm down. The antonym of irate is calm. Question 3. Use context clues to determine the meaning of the word opulent. The couple's mansion on the hill was opulent, stolen, luxurious, unattractive, ugly. Moving on to riddles. A riddle is a confusing statement or puzzling question with a hidden meaning to be solved. Riddles are designed to make you think and often to laugh too. You are going to watch a video about riddles. So, how do you solve a riddle? Let's look at a riddle together. We know that many riddles rely on words with multiple meanings. So the first thing to do is look for any word in the riddle that might have more than one meaning. Let's look at our earlier example. What has hands but cannot clap? This riddle relies upon alternate meaning for the word hands. If you remember that the word hands can also be used to describe parts of a clock, then you would have solved this riddle. Many riddles about objects try to trick you with language that makes you think that they are a person or animal. For example, what runs but doesn't walk? The answer to this riddle is not a person or animal that can actually run, but instead it is an object. The answer is water. Now let's practice with some more riddles in this matching game. Question 4. Riddles often include blank meanings, multiple or incorrect. Palindromes. We have been looking at alliteration, riddles, and tongue twisters as ways to have fun with language. Palindromes are another example of how language can be fun. A palindrome is a word or phrase that says the same thing whether you read it backward or forward. The word radar, R-A-D-A-R, is a palindrome because the letters are the same if you read it from the beginning of the word or from the end of the word. Try it. Palindromes can be words, phrases, or sentences. It is much harder to come up with a sentence that is a palindrome. Here are some examples. Phrases. Madame, I'm Adam. Too hot to hoot. Words, race car, wow, noon. Taco cat is a popular palindrome. Question 5. Which of the following is a palindrome? Kayak, rowboat, canoe, dinghy. Question 6. Which of the following is not a palindrome? Elle, Anna, Ella, Hannah. Which of the following is not? Question 7. Which of the following is an example of an alliteration? She hears, she shuffles, Paul calls. Question 8. Which of the following is an example of alliteration? Carl chews, Charlie chews, Tom throws. Question 9. A riddle often relies on a word with blank meaning. And incorrect, more than one. Question 10. Which of the following is a palindrome? City, carry, civic. Question 11. Which of the following is a palindrome? Sweep, peep, people. Question 12. Which of the following is a palindrome? Sees, saw, seesaw.